Attorney Souza, please read the open meeting law advisory, MGL Chapter 30A and Section 20F.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are to be made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we begin the agenda of this evening's meeting, we offer 15 minutes for public input, 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the meeting agenda. Item number 1, minutes of the regular meeting held on August 12, 2019. Recommended action to accept.
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Item 2, bills and communications, vouchers, recommended action to accept. Tim?
The bills, the copy was put on the table for the board to review.
Move to accept.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye, the motion
Aye.
carries. Item 3, report of the secretary. A, management reports. 1, applications. 2, occupancy report. 3, tenants accounts receivable. 4, work order report. 5, public housing preference indicator reports. Recommended action that we accept all 5 at one time. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, the motion
Aye.
carries. Item B, financial report, July 2019. Recommended action to accept. Tim?
Yeah, there is no significant change from last month, so I'd recommend approval of the reports.
Any comments or questions? A motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye, motion
Aye.
carries. Item C, open enrollment for Blue Cross Blue Shield Dental Blue Shield, effective October 1, 2019. Tim?
This is the dental insurance required by our union contracts, and again, for the third year, there'll be no increase in premium.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, a motion to
Motion to
accept is in
accept.
order.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 4, new business, modernization. A, presentation by CBI Consultants, LLC, Carla Maderas Towers Elevators. Recommended action, discussion, is there a representative from CBI?
There is, I'm just waiting for our elevator consultant, Janet Moore, she'll be here in a few minutes.
Okay, should we just move the item
Yeah,
down
we'll
one?
move it down, we'll come back.
Thank you.
Item B, Director of Facilities Monthly Report, recommended action, information, discussion.
Yeah, these are just, if I can just interject, these are the updates on the 2 projects at Carter Maderas.
Yeah.
The elevators
Yeah.
and the Fall River Joint Tenant Council office. I know the report's been provided. If there's any questions, any discussion, Kevin can address those.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, could, Mr. Spadella, please just briefly give the board, for those who may be listening or viewing and are interested, what the status of that is?
Commissioner, which project view? The air conditioning, we have the elevator upgrades, which Mr. Almeida is going to address shortly.
Okay.
And then we have the tenant council office conversion. Which would you prefer I start?
Is that, let's start with the tenants, is that right, moving along, and about how soon would it be?
We awarded last month, we signed the notice to proceed, and the contractor is mobilized and has started the demo of the ceilings. Slight delay, we have some water leaks in the existing lines. That's gonna be repaired on Wednesday, and then the contractor will pick up from there and be able to install the ceiling as part of the renovations and move forward.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, C. Certificate of completion consolidated for exterior sealants and coatings at Frank V. Oliver Apartments. Recommended action for approval. Any questions or comments?
Motion approved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor? Aye, the
Aye.
motion carries. Item D, certificate of substantial completion for roof replacement at Oak Village. Recommended action for approval.
Motion approved.
Jason, you have any comments on that?
No, not on that one.
Okay. Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Item E, this is it. Change order number 1, roof replacement at Oak Village. Change order number 1 is a decrease in the contract amount by $9,322.80. That's good news.
Decreases are better.
Any questions or comments?
No. motion
Hearing
approved.
none, the motion is ordered to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, the
Aye.
motion carries. Item F, certificate of substantial completion for roof replacement, Phase 2, Sunset Hill. Recommended action for approval. Any questions or comments?
Motion approved.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. G, change order number 1 for roof replacement, Phase 2 at Sunset Hill. Change order number 1 is an increase in the amount of by $130,600 and recommended action for approval. My question is, when this bid was put out, I also often wonder whether the successful bidders deliberately place a low bid so they can come in with a change order. Are there any questions or comments? Jason?
But the 130 just jumped off the page.
Yep.
And I just, was looking for some, follow up with that on, what exactly that is for. I didn't know if that was part of something that should have been part of the original bid. Did they miss it? But I was just looking for additional information.
Sure. So, Chairman Cache, that change order is generated by the Housing Authority for the administration maintenance building. Further down on the agenda, you're gonna be asked to vote on a contract award for the laundry conversion, and that's in the management building. What we found out is there's existing leaks in the management building, so we don't wanna spend $350,000 on a laundry facility and we have roof leaks. So we asked the contractor who was doing the Sunset Hill roofs for a cost proposal to do that. They're mobilized, they had extra material, so they provided that cost, and we'll get the same roof on the admin building that we have on the apartment row house buildings. The cost to do an apartment row house building is a little over $200,000. The admin building is about 2/3 the size of one of those buildings, so that's their cost. It's an older roof, there's existing leaks there, and again, if we weren't doing the laundry conversion, we would normally do the normal bidding and go out to bid and get competitive bidding on that. But because of the urgency of the laundry room conversion, we need to get the roof fixed first before we construct inside.
Kevin, quick question. Do you recall when this contract was awarded, what was the difference between the low bidder and the second low bidder? Do you recall?
I don't recall, I
Okay.
can't say accurately.
All right, thank you.
Is this really deemed change in scope?
No.
So then if it's not a change in scope, you're doing another building. I'm just concerned that we're way past the 20% rule.
Yeah, I believe the HUD usually allows us 25%, which we're still a little bit over.
Right.
I would think you'd have to rebid it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm,
I mean, I can certainly respect that, but only because of the urgency of the other project. I don't know if it's possible we can apply for a waiver of that bidding, a DCAM emergency waiver. That's an option.
Has the work been done?
No, nothing has been.
Not yet.
you may want to look into that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea to look into a waiver. Because there may be penalties from the contractor doing work in the laundry room if we hold them up. So,
Yeah,
probably
that's
should
a
look
good
at the whole
point, too.
picture.
Any further comments or questions? A motion is in order to approve.
So we're tabling this, I think. The change order?
Yeah, we'll table it for now then. I think that's probably what we're
If
doing.
we table it, that gives me time to
Okay.
apply for the DCAM waiver.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
then
good.
if that gets approved.
So could I say, approve pending the, approval of the DCAM waiver? Just so we don't have to come back to the board? Would that be okay with the board? Or do you want
I
to?
imagine
No
so.
problem with that.
Okay. So pending approval of the DCAM waiver?
Approved pending the approval of the
Yep,
DCAM.
Yes.
Approved,
Okay.
pending
Okay.
approval, okay. Motion?
Motion made to table.
No.
Motion to table.
Motion is to approve it
Yep.
pending the
DCAM.
approval of
Pending
the waiver.
DCAM,
Correct.
Yep.
Motion
Okay.
made. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Item 8, contract award for laundry room conversion at Sunset Hill. Recommended action, award a contract to the low bidder Collins Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $350,820. Kevin?
I'm sorry.
The laundry room, would you like to address that, the award of the contract?
So, part of our corrective action plan with HUD, specifically Sunset Hill, because of mold and mildew issues, we had to do upgrades to kitchens, baths, basements, and another very important and vital piece to that corrective action plan was to construct a laundry room, centralized laundry room, so that we can eliminate individual washers and dryers in the basements that the residents have in their basements, because what we found, they weren't connected properly, a lot of leaking, a lot of moisture, a lot of mold as a result of that. So, but we can't just eliminate washers and dryers without having a centralized laundry facility. So that's the reason why we chose the admin building. It's centrally located, it's a large building. The price is a little higher than we thought, but there are 3 filed sub-bids. And the state of the construction industry now, everybody is extremely busy, everybody is putting in high bids. It's just the sign of the times right now.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other questions? Hearing none, a motion to approve is in order.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, the
Aye.
motion
Aye.
carries. Miscellaneous, item A. Supplemental police services contract, recommended action. Continuation of the contract for 1-year period beginning October 1, 2019 to September 30, 2020 for 5 officers in the amount not to exceed $410,000. Jim?
Yes, this is our contract for supplemental police services over and beyond the baseline services provided by that department. It's been very successful, and I'd recommend approval of this. It is level funded from the prior years. As you know, we're in a very tough budget situation, so we're really not in a position to increase this.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, a motion is in order to approve.
So
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye, the motion carries. Item B, animal control officer contract. Recommended action, continuation of a contract for a 1-year period beginning October 1, 2019 to September 30, 2020 in the amount not to exceed $17,500. Tim, do we normally expend the full amount on these contracts?
We do.
We do.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, out-of-state travel. Recommended action, ratify permission for Melissa Milo, Director of Finance, to attend the intermediate HUD accounting, reporting, and budgeting training in Chicago, Illinois, from October 22nd through October 24th. Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I believe the consultants, both parties are here.
Okay.
Would you like to have their
Yes, please
presentation?
do so.
Yes, hi, good afternoon to all. Thanks for having us here. I'm Brett Almeida with the City Consulting, project architect, project manager. I have with me Janet Moore from Cisco Hennessy Group, elevator consultant. We submitted back in February 7 a report that entailed reviewing the elevators, the hoistway, the pits, and the machine rooms for seven apartment buildings. And what we've submitted recently was a proposal to upgrade 2 of the elevators at the Cardinal Maderos, and that's what you have, I believe, in front of you, the 5 copies. So what we've done is we've did an extensive investigation on site, going through the state, the conditions of the elevators, the mechanical, electrical systems, fire alarm systems, also the architectural components of the machine room, which is located in the penthouse of the Cardinal Maderos apartment building, and we've compiled that into the report that the housing authority has. We came to a conclusion that based on the age of the building and based on the fact that these renovations took place mid-90s, 96, that a lot of these systems have outlived their useful life and they need to be replaced. That's what this report contains. It contains observations and recommendations for the systems.
Tim, do you have any comments or what?
We had a discussion last meeting as far as specifically Cardinal Maderos, not the other sites.
Yeah.
And one of the, I guess our approach was to decommission one of the elevators and refurbish one. And then the board had questions about that. They've indicated that their desire would be to see all 4 in operation. Would you say that's correct?
That's correct.
So that first proposal I think we had was to decommission one.
Yes, correct. It was to decommission elevator number 1 and modernize elevator number 2 with the 2 remaining elevators still to be upgraded at a later date.
Right. So if we do 2 elevators there, does that maybe change which 2 elevators you want to modernize first, whether it's 1 and 2 or 3 and 4? Or does it make sense to do the one that is out of commission because it's out of commission and you're not going to lose any service? Have you thought about what setup you would use?
Let me address that. The 4 elevators operate as a group. That means you push either the hall button in between 1 and 2, or the hall button in between 3 and 4. Any of the 4 elevators will respond to that hall button. So they operate as a group, and right now, elevator 1, it doesn't affect the group operation because it's out of service. If you modernize 1 and 2, which is to do them first is most logical because they are the oldest with the machines. All of the controllers are a 1996 vintage, and even though it doesn't seem 23 years ago, doesn't seem like such a very long time, in the life of a controller, it is. They're like computers. One thing about the elevator industry, as in any industry, it is constantly updating, upgrading the safety mechanisms and safety functions, especially in anything that's solid state. The same with a computer. Computers live 3 years and then all of a sudden they're slowing down. Same with an elevator controller. The difference with an elevator controller is not just so much life, but it is safety. There was just a critical accident that just happened in New York last week. And that was based on, the true findings has not yet been revealed. It was an older system, and it did not have all the redundancies of safety. And the one thing about the redundancies is that they can also be a headache, because the electronic eyes, if you stand in front of them and delay them from closing, and then step back, but then delay them from closing, The elevators are so smart nowadays that they're going to say, something is wrong with me. And 3 times, one of the tenants doing that, and it happens all the time, especially in housing, whereas they will delay the closing. It'll start to close, and then it'll, you know, with the updated type of electronic eye, it will remain open. With most elevator equipment, they have a nudging ability on the doors. So as the doors begin to close, and I believe this is what is at Cardinal Medeiros, if somebody tries to push them back, they really can't, they can disable. With the electronic eyes as well, if they impede the closing for a number of times, the elevator controller, even 23-year-old equipment, is going to say, something's wrong with me. It's going to shut down. And it's nothing to do with the operation, it's the safety factors. And all of that has now been enhanced in the newer equipment. So 23-year-old controllers, all 4 of them, all operate as a group. And if you modernize 1 and 2, shortly thereafter, you need to modernize 3 and 4. Only because it is the same vintage controller. They all operate as a group. It's not a duplex
Right.
and a duplex. They all operate as a
So,
group.
so now in your report though, I think you recommend replacing 3 and 4 in year 4, say, next year. The recommendation is to go to Homes Apartments. So,
Just
so we'd be
because
okay to do that, like, you know, as far as use your schedule as our guide?
That's right.
Okay, and what would be the likelihood that we could actually do one of these projects every year?
It takes an ordering time for the very first elevator. After notice to proceed is about 32 weeks. That's submittals, that is fabrication, that's delivery, material on the site. 32 weeks for the first elevator, the first 2 elevators. After that, the ordering process, if it's sequenced in, that ordering process can continue, so the next group of elevators, or the next 2 elevators that you modernize. Typically, elevator companies can modernize 2 at a time, not in the same building, but 2 separate buildings. If not, the 1 building, and then the second duplex, the second
I
time.
think it's also important to bring this up, is that there's also an economy of scale that, for example, in Cardinal Medeiros, you have 4 elevators. So if you do 2 now and 2 later, you have the contractor, you have to go up, you have to produce a set of construction documents, because you've got mechanical systems, you've got electrical systems that need to be phased out while construction goes on for the 2 elevators. If you were to do the work all at once, you have one contractor doing all the work at once, as opposed to having 2 separate bids, 2 separate contractors, and remobilization. So there's additional cost that you will see with phasing out the bank of 4 elevators at different times, 2 now and 2 later.
That's correct, thank you.
Well, if you can put $2 million in my pocket, we'll do all 4. But, okay, no, that's a good point.
Yes.
That's a good point.
So
I
we
think
do,
it's the wishes of the board that 2 elevators be done at Cardinal Medeiros right now. Commissioner Aguirre, you had some concerns?
Yeah, I had a question. We have 4 elevators at Cardinal Medeiros, all of which probably need to be updated. One definitely doesn't even work. If we agreed that we wanted to do elevator 1, which doesn't work at all, and 2, would they do 1 elevator at a time, so we would have 3 running, or would 2 of the 1 and 2 be shut down simultaneously, and we would only have 2 operating?
That would be the decision of the board. You can do 1, takes about 14 weeks, and then a week or 2 weeks to wait for the state test. Then they immediately go to the second one. So therefore, you would always have, initially you have the 3 elevators because you're going to
Yes.
take out 1 first.
Right.
Then 1 is up and running, you now have 3 elevators, number 2 is then
Okay.
taken out. So you can do it that way,
And
1 at a time.
and
And
it-
it typically takes 14 to 16 weeks.
Okay, and in the report, I see a total here for Cardinal Medeiros, 1.8 million. That would be to repair and modernize, rejuvenate all 4 elevators?
Yes, it is all 4.
That's
That-
all 4.
And that includes the replacement of the cabs, the controllers, the motors in the penthouse, that includes the electrical systems upgrades, mechanical systems, and fire alarm systems upgrades, and some architectural work that needs to be done in terms of the venting in the walls, allowing the openings. So that's for the 4 elevators.
Thank you.
That estimate is assuming they're being done one at a time, or is that estimate assuming they're all 4 are being done at the same time?
That was
And
one
how
at a
much
time.
more?
Yeah,
All the work in both of the machine rooms would be addressed during the first phase, because the machine rooms share. We have the machines, the 3 and 4 in the first machine room, you go through 1 and 2 in the second machine room. However, there's a doorway and they're open between both.
so to answer your question, if you did the 4, that would go out as one bid package, one contractor doing all the work.
Right, but if we don't do 4 at a time, and we're doing 2,
Too, yeah.
what does that do to this cost estimate?
I don't know what,
1.8 million. And you just
I have
answered
provided some
Mr.
preliminary
Aguirre
numbers.
that was for all 4 of them.
We provided some preliminary numbers in terms of, at this level, at the schematic design level, and essentially, it would be roughly half of what that 1.8 is, slightly less than.
Yeah,
1.8.
yeah, you have,
It was.
660,000 for the first 2. Now, this is just construction, I don't believe it's engineering, and it doesn't include the 10% add-on.
Correct.
And then in the 4th, elevator 1, 2, and then in the 3rd year, you go to the next 2, and that again is 660. So that's without the 10%, so the cost as estimated just splits it in half. Not doing it all in the same
Correct,
year.
yes.
Right. And there's no engineering fees in these either, correct? These are,
No, these are construction fees, yes. Yeah.
so we had, you know, as far as actually doing 4 elevators under one contract, we'd have to look at our our capital budget hard cost is about 2.5 million.
Okay.
One possibility that I'm looking at with the finance director is they have a capital fund financing program which allows you to actually go out and receive a bond for 2 million and then pay that out of your capital fund over 20 years, which would be much more palatable, 100,000 a year, in simplistic terms. So that's one avenue we're looking at to build up more when we get into doing even Holmes and O'Brien, just to take the stress off of our capital budget. Because $8 million to do everything, as you know, is going to take away from the other projects we need, so.
And the useful life of the elevator can be deemed to be 20, and
20 or
therefore
25, right?
Correct.
the bond would be allowable at 20.
Yeah, as long as somebody was willing to float us the money. Yes, yeah, so we are looking at that avenue. Otherwise, we're just dealing strictly with the capital budget. And to do 2 elevators, you're looking at, say, $1 million, just to be conservative. So now that gives us $1.5 million for
Other
roofs,
capital.
bathrooms,
Right, other capital.
other items. So I just think if we go that route, we should limit ourselves to 2 year. You know, if we can get the CFFP financing, then that, we can do a one-time shot of 4. Yeah, so. But I think you made the comment, Chairman, that, you know, we just wanted to be clear that we do want to do all 4 at Cardinal.
That's correct.
And not 3 in the commission one, right?
Good. Any other questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, we want to thank you for your presentation, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
That's it. Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We continue with the agenda, we go into personnel. Hey, Director of Modernization position job description.
Motion.
Recommended action to ratify the job description.
Motion to table.
May I just inquire as to the Director of Modernization position? This is to fill an empty slot.
Oh,
So I would just request
Okay.
that you may revise or review.
I'm sorry.
This is again to fill our vacant position as the director of mod. We just
Okay,
tweaked the position a little bit, so it's not a major overhaul of the description.
Anything
Good.
specific?
Much to accept.
Procedurally, I just have a question. I may want some more information on the actual appointment. May need to do some additional information seeking in my own mind. If we just approve this, does that impact number 2, I mean B?
No, not at all,
Okay, so,
not at all.
Mary, do you have any questions?
No, I was just gonna ask what specifically changed, because I didn't line them up side by side.
Yeah, Tim and Kevin, could you shed some light on what changed in the modernization director position description?
There's minor changes to, it was just an old description that had old titles in it too, and there were some upgrades to the technical aspects of it. We can get copies of the changes if necessary.
Yeah,
Okay, if you could, thank you.
Yeah, the job is essentially the same. I think it's just some of the, requirements we're looking for.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve, ratify? Item A?
motion to ratify the job description.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, the
Aye.
motion carries. Item B, Director of Modernization position, recommended action, approve the appointment of Arthur Anderson. Any comments or questions?
Just as I just indicated, I would prefer to take a little bit more time with this position. I would prefer to table and come back to it. Just like to get a little more information and think about it a little bit more. So, I don't know what my colleagues think, but
Any other comments?
In terms of this position, did we have many applicants?
We had five applicants from the outside with engineering degrees, architecture degrees. We did have one internal candidate. We interviewed all of them. And it's my recommendation that the individual listed on the agenda had great qualifications, enthusiasm for the position, excellent computer skills, and I think he would be an asset in helping us with what we're doing and where we may have to go with the RAD requirements by HUD, which may force us to get into developing or rehabbing our properties.
Okay. I'm gonna have to confer to my colleague, Mr. Burns. I think it's probably important that he get a little bit more time to look at these applicants. I don't know who was on the interview committee, and then maybe you can get us all, maybe if your notes on the 5 of them, so
Sure.
we can take a peek at them as well.
Could be
So why don't we
happy to.
just table this?
We want a motion to table until the next meeting.
sure.
Okay.
Motion to table until the next meeting. Second.
All in favor? Aye, the motion
Aye.
carries. C, compliance officer position, job description. Recommended action, ratify job description. And after conferring with my colleagues here and other sources, I would make a recommendation that we table this item.
Motion to table.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, but the same thing, I think we need a little bit more information as to what kind of position we're really trying to fill here and whether or not these qualifications are truly necessary.
Okay.
And the same goes true with regard to the salary structure. Is it something that, I don't know whether we're replacing another position, whether we have this money in our
This would be a
budget.
new position.
So, if you could get us some more information on
sure.
this as well.
Yes.
So we'd like to table this until the next meeting.
Until the next meeting, yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, the motion
Aye.
carries. Compliance officer position, recommended action, recommendation to be made at the board meeting. I would like to recommend that we table this until the next meeting.
Second, that goes along with
Motion
the
made.
item
Yeah, right.
before it.
Second.
Motion made second, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Item E, painter position, recommended action, verify the appointment of Vincent Reposa. Tim?
Yes, this is filling a position, backfilling due to a vacancy, which was created by retirement. So we recommend that Vincent Reposa be appointed as the permanent painter.
Motion is in order to approve.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor? Aye, the motion
Aye.
carries. Item F, temporary maintenance mechanic floater position, second shift. Recommended action, ratify the appointment of Patrick Orban. Tim?
The permanent second shift mechanic is out on long-term leave, so this is a temporary fill for that position to alleviate us using overtime.
Any questions or comments?
Motion approved.
Motion's been made and
Second.
second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item G, maintenance mechanic 1/floater position. Recommend action, ratify in-house posting.
Tim, would you like to address this?
That's to backfill the promotion you just approved. for the sale of project.
So Vinnie Raposa was a mechanic, so he's just promoted to painter, so now we're backfilling his position.
Okay.
Makes sense. Motion to ratify. Posting in-house
Second, all
posting.
those in favor,
Second.
and the motion
Aye.
carries.
And just as a note, we do have 4 temporary mechanics, so in all likelihood, one of those individuals would be the most qualified.
Okay. Let's see, we just finished that item
H.
I, right?
We're on H. Item
H.
H.
Yeah. Maintenance custodian floater position. 2, recommended action, ratify in-house posting.
Yep.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion
Aye.
carries. Item I, clerk interview position, section A. Recommended action, ratify the appointment of Thomas Timms. Tim?
Yes, this was to fill a vacated position due to an employee leaving our employment. So we're recommending Mr. Thomas Timms. Another Tim has joined the organization, but he's at the end, so we keep the streak alive.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? The motion
Aye.
carries. Are there any resident concerns here tonight? And other transactions or any other business that might come before the chair this evening?
Just the October.
Mr. Chairman, we have to change the October meeting.
Yes. What would be good for all members of the board?
I heard someone mention the 15th. That would be fine.
I don't think I'm gonna be here.
That would be a Tuesday. Is that- Yeah. That's fine with me.
I won't be here.
Okay. Wednesday?
Wednesday I'll be back, yeah.
Okay, how about Wednesday the 16th, anybody?
That's fine with
Me
me.
too.
Fine with me.
Works for me.
Okay, the next board meeting will be on October 16th on a Wednesday. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any other business to come before? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is
Motion to
in
adjourn.
order.
Motion to adjourn. Second, actually.
All in favor? The meeting is
Never
adjourned.
mind.